Welcome to Sleepy Time Stories. Hey, dear friends, let us gently close our eyes and take a long, slow breath together. Feel the weight of the day lift from your shoulders. Tonight, we're going somewhere very far away, not just in distance, but in time, back to a land of golden sand and emerald water, where the sun rules the sky and the river rules the earth. We will walk beside ordinary people living extraordinary lives, not pharaohs on golden thrones, but farmers, builders, mothers, and dreamers. This is a story meant to carry you softly into sleep. So let your thoughts settle like dust motes in a quiet beam of afternoon light. We are traveling to ancient Egypt more than 3,000 years ago. Picture it with me for a moment. A narrow ribbon of deep green farmland, carved through endless desert like a miracle repeated every single day. On either side, the red land stretches away, dry, harsh, beautiful in its emptiness. But in the middle, the Nile moves slowly, thick and brown during the summer months, swollen with rain from faraway mountains. This is a season of the flood, which the Egyptians call Akhet. And in this season, something remarkable happens. The waters rise, creeping over the banks, covering fields that only weeks before were dry and ready for planting. For most civilizations, a flood would be a tragedy. But here, it is the heartbeat of existence. The water brings black silt, rich as chocolate cake, fresh from the highlands of Ethiopia. That silt is life itself. Without it, nothing grows. Without it, Egypt would vanish. But the flood also creates a strange problem. For 2 months every year, the farmers have nothing to do. Their fields are under 2 meters of murky water. They cannot plant. They cannot harvest. They cannot tend their animals. So the Pharaoh's government does something almost no other civilization has ever attempted. They take these hundreds of thousands of idle farmers, nearly 1 million strong, and they put them to work, not as slaves, but as a mobilized workforce. The state gives them wooden yokes, ropes, simple copper tools, and a daily ration of bread and beer. Then it sends them across the river to drag millions of heavy mud bricks up a dusty hillside, where they will build a temple for a king who is already 60 years old, has fathered more than 100 children, and intends to be remembered not for decades, but for 3,000 years. That king is Ramesses II. The year is 1250 BC. The city is Waset, though later ages will call it Thebes. And right now, in this story, you are going to become one of those farmers. This is day 1 of 7. Over the coming nights, we will step into 7 different lives. The farmer, the tomb builder, the priest, the trader's wife, the soldier, the physician, and on the 7th night, all of them together at the greatest religious festival the ancient world ever produced. But tonight, we begin the beginning with the simplest and most ancient of all human roles. Tonight, you are a farmer, and your fields are underwater. Let us step back now. 3,275 years. Take my hand, imaginary as it is, and let us walk to the veil of time. The air changes as we move. It becomes warmer, heavier, scented with wet earth and river mud. The sky is a pale, bleached blue, just beginning to show the first hints of pink along the eastern horizon. We are standing outside a small mud brick house, nestled among other similar houses in a village called Per-Het, the pasture. Inside, a man is waking up. You are that man, dear friend. Or rather, you are slipping into his life for a little while, like putting on a well-worn garment. Feel the rough texture of the reed mat beneath you. It was woven by your own hands last spring, from reeds you cut at the edge of your fields. The same fields that are now deep under brown water of the Nile. Your pillow is not soft. It is a shaped block of wood, gently curved to support your neck. It has never been comfortable, not in all the years you have slept on it, but it is what you know. It is what your father knew, and his father before him. The room around you is small, perhaps 4 long paces by 3. The walls are made of sun-dried mud bricks, plastered smooth and painted a faded pale yellow, with red trim running close to the ceiling. There are no windows on the eastern side of the room. No one in Egypt puts windows there, because the rising sun would turn the house into an oven before breakfast. Instead, there is a narrow slit high on the western wall, no wider than 2 fingers pressed together, just enough to let a little stale air escape and a little fresh air creep in. Outside, the first roosters are beginning to call to one another, but you have been awake for 10 minutes already. That is what happens when you share a single room with 3 children and 2 dogs. Someone coughs. Someone murmurs in their sleep. A small foot kicks you gently in the ribs. You lie still for a moment, listening to the soft sound of your family breathing around you. The dogs are curled at the foot of the mat, their noses tucked under their tails. One of them sighs in its dreams, paws twitching as it chases something invisible. You smile in the darkness, though no one can see you. Your name is not written anywhere. It will not appear on any monument or papyrus. The scribes do not record the names of farmers. You are simply one of the many, the anonymous thousands who make Egypt possible. You are perhaps 30 years old, though you have long since stopped counting your birthdays. The Egyptians do not celebrate the day of their birth the way we do. There are no cakes, no candles, no songs. A birthday is just another day of work, another sunrise, another sunset. You live in a village called Per-Het, which means the pasture. It sits on the eastern bank of the Nile, just outside the great city of Waset. On the opposite shore, the western bank, the dead have their kingdom. That is where the tombs are cut into the limestone cliffs, where the mortuary temples stand silent and solemn. The east is for the living. That is the order of things. The sun rises in the east, is born fresh and golden each morning. The sun dies in the west, sinking into the land of the ancestors. Every Egyptian carries this map inside their heart, from the smallest child to the oldest gray-haired grandmother. You rise from your mat, moving carefully so as not to wake the children. Your feet find the packed earth floor, cool beneath your soles. You step outside and the air washes over you, damp, soft, smelling of fish and wet soil and the faint green scent of reeds. The Nile is only about 50 meters from your door. In this month of Akhet, the river is swollen brown, thick with the dark silt that is carried all the way from the highlands. Your fields have been underwater for 3 weeks now. They will stay underwater for 2 more weeks. And this is wonderful news. This is the best possible news. Without this annual flood, Egypt would be a desert. Without it, your children would starve. The black mud that the river spreads across the land is pure treasure, a fresh layer of mineral-rich soil delivered free of charge every single year. No other civilization has such a gift. No other farmers can simply wait for the river to fertilize their fields for them. The Egyptians have a special word for this black earth. They call it Kemet, and that is also the name they use for their entire country. They do not call it Egypt. That name will come much later, from strangers who do not speak their language. They call it Kemet, the Black Land. And beyond the Black Land lies Dishret, the Red Land, the endless desert that stretches away on both sides of the river valley. Black is life, red is death. This simple pairing runs through everything an Egyptian thinks and feels. The black soil gives food. The red desert gives only heat and sand and the howling of dry winds. You walk down to the river to wash. Women are already there, kneeling on flat stones at the water's edge, beating laundry against the rock with steady, rhythmic strokes. Thump, thump, thump. The sound is almost musical, a percussion that blends with the lapping of water and the distant calls of birds. Men are loading bundles of reeds onto a flat-bottomed boat. Those reeds will be sold downriver, where people will use them to build roofs for their houses. A boy, perhaps 9 years old, stands frozen at the edge of the water. His eyes are wide, fixed on a spot about 50 meters out. You follow his gaze and see it, a great dark shape breaking the surface, water sliding off broad, rounded back, small ears twitching. A hippopotamus. The boy knows not to run. He knows not to make any sudden movement. Hippos kill more Egyptians every year than crocodiles do. Everyone knows this. A bull hippo can weigh 3,000 kilograms, as much as a dozen cows. It can run on land at 30 kilometers an hour, faster than any person can sprint. It can bite a man in half with one snap of those enormous jaws. The Egyptian word for hippo sounds like duba, and yet the goddess Taret, who protects women in childbirth, is shown as a hippopotamus standing upright on her hind legs. Because the most dangerous animal on the river is also the most powerful symbol of protection. Danger and safety, fear and love, all tangled together. You wash your face and hands quickly, never turning your back on the water. Then you head back to the village as the sun climbs higher, burning away the last of the morning coolness. Because your fields are underwater, you cannot farm. So you, like every able-bodied man in your village, have been called to serve the pharaoh during the flood season. The Egyptians call this corvée labor, a kind of work tax, your time given to the king. It is not slavery. You are not owned by anyone. You will be released after a set number of days, usually 30, sometimes 60. You will be fed. Sometimes you will be given extra beer as payment. A scribe has written your name on a wooden tablet, carefully inked in elegant hieratic script. That scribe answers to a foreman, who answers to a senior official, who answers eventually to the vizier of all Egypt. There is a mountain of paperwork behind every brick you carry. The Egyptians invented bureaucracy thousands of years ago, and they have never stopped refining it. You have no real choice in this matter. The pharaoh's temples need builders, and the flood conveniently provides hundreds of thousands of farmers with nothing else to do. If you refuse, your whole village will be fined in grain. If the village cannot pay, the men will be beaten. If things get worse, soldiers in shining copper-scale armor will march down the path and make things right. But it rarely comes to that. You go because your family needs you to go, because your neighbors are going, because this is how the world works. Today, you will carry mud bricks. A new mortuary temple is rising on the West Bank, built for Ramesses II. He has been pharaoh for 30 years already, and he plans to rule for 30 more. He is building for eternity. The temple is enormous, so vast that the foundations alone will require 8 million bricks. You and 3,000 other men have been hauling them across the river for a month now. Each brick weighs about 8 kilograms, roughly as heavy as a large melon. They are made from Nile mud mixed with chopped straw, then left to dry in the sun for 3 weeks until they are hard and brown. You carry them in pairs, 2 bricks slung from a wooden yoke that rests across your shoulders. The yoke is smooth from years of use, polished by the sweat and skin of countless men before you. It leaves bruises on your collarbones, bruises that never fully heal. By the time you are 40, your shoulders will have permanent calluses the size of your fist, thick and leathery and numb. Archaeologists have found skeletons from this period that show exactly that pattern. Stress fractures running along the clavicles, the bones themselves thickened and scarred from years of carrying weight. You walk in a long line, one man behind another, like a slow river of bodies. There are perhaps 200 men in your section alone, moving from the brickyard at the river's edge up the gentle slope to the temple foundation. The line never stops. It flows and pauses and flows again, a patient, unending procession. There is a rhythm to the work, and with the rhythm comes a song. The Egyptians always sing while they labor. The foreman calls out a line, and the men answer in chorus. The song today is about a girl and a fishing net. After you have heard it 5 or 6 times, you realize it is slightly rude. Some of the younger men grin as they sing. The older men just hum along, saving their breath for the climb. At midday, the sun stands directly overhead. There is almost no shadow anywhere. The heat is brutal, a weight pressing down on your head and shoulders. Everyone stops. The foreman raises his hand, and the line grinds to a halt. The Egyptian word for this noon break sounds like Misha, the time when the sun is at its peak. You find a sliver of shade against a half-built wall and sink down onto the warm ground. Lunch is bread, beer, and onions. The bread is dense and dark and gritty, because sand from the millstones always gets ground into the flour. That sand is slowly wearing your teeth down to stumps. By the time you are 40, you will have lost half of them. Mummies of laborers from this period show this exact kind of dental wear. Some of the best preserved bodies, when modern dentists examine them, are missing every single molar by age 50. They lived long lives, but they did not chew comfortably. They ate their bread in small, careful bites, washing each mouthful down with beer. The beer is thick, almost like a soup with bits of bread floating in it. It is lightly fermented, low in alcohol, but rich in nutrients. You are not drinking to become drunk. You drink because it is safer than the river water, which can carry parasites and sickness, and because it gives you calories to burn. The Egyptians have 100 different words for different kinds of beer. The most common kind, the one in your clay bowl right now, is simply called Akhet. House beer, everyday beer, the drink of ordinary people. It is sweet and faintly sour, and it leaves a pleasant warmth in your belly. The onion is sharp and raw, making your eyes sting. You eat it in 3 quick bites, savoring the bite of it. Egyptian onions are famous even beyond your own land. More than 1,000 years from now, a Greek traveler named Herodotus will write that the Great Pyramid of Khufu has an inscription recording how many onions, garlic, and radishes the workers ate. That inscription is probably not real, but the onions are real. They always have been, while you rest in the shade, chewing your bread and sipping your beer. Pharaoh Ramesses II is across the river in his palace. The palace is called Per-Ramesses, which means the House of Ramesses. It is a sprawling complex of painted halls, columned courtyards, and private chambers cooled by north-facing windows. The pharaoh is 60 years old today. His hair is gray, his knees ache in the morning, and his lower back has given him trouble for years. But he is still the living Horus, the son of Ra, the chosen one of Ammonius. He is fathered, by his own proud count, more than 100 children. He married his own daughter, Beninath, after her mother died. This was a political decision, not a romantic one. The Egyptians do not find it strange. Royal blood must stay royal. The records of this marriage still exist, carved in stone and inked on papyrus. It truly happened. This morning, the pharaoh is dictating a letter to a foreign king, perhaps the Hittite emperor, perhaps a ruler in Babylon, perhaps the king of Mitanni. A scribe kneels on a cushion, writing in elegant cursive hieroglyphs on a fresh sheet of papyrus. The letter complains at great length about gold shipments. The pharaoh believes he is being cheated. He is not subtle about it. Archaeologists have found his actual letters, and they read exactly like an irritated CEO writing to a vendor who has missed a deadline. You know none of this. You are eating an onion, sitting in the dust, grateful for a moment of rest. The afternoon stretches ahead like a long, hot road. You haul more bricks. The sun moves slowly across the sky, so slowly it seems to be holding still just to torment you. Your shadow shortens until it disappears entirely beneath your feet, then begins to lengthen again toward the east. Your palms blister. The blisters break open, leaking clear fluid, then slowly turn into calluses. By the time the sun begins to sink toward the western cliffs, your hands are raw. Your shoulders feel like they belong to someone else, and your tongue is swollen and sticky from thirst. The foreman has been rationing water all day, because there is never enough to go around. Each man gets only a few swallows at each break. You dream of cool water, of filling your belly with it, of lying down in a shallow stream, and letting it flow over you. Finally, the foreman raises his hand. He calls out the end of the workday. The line dissolves into individual men, each one shuffling toward the distribution point. You queue for your daily ration. 1 large jar of beer, 2 loaves of bread, a handful of dried dates. This will feed your family tonight. And again for breakfast tomorrow. You tuck the bread under your arm, balance the beer jar on your shoulder, and begin to walk home. Evening comes gently, like a kind hand on a fevered brow. You walk along the riverbank, following the path you have followed every day of your life. The sun is setting behind the western cliffs, painting the sky in shades of orange and rose and deep purple. The light catches the surface of the Nile and turns it to liquid gold, so bright and beautiful that it almost hurts to look at. Boats drift in from upriver, their square sails slack in the dying wind. A little skiff made of bundled papyrus reeds slides past, so close you can almost reach out and touch it. 2 boys are fishing from it with small hand nets, their laughter carrying clear and bright across the water. For a moment, the weight on your shoulders feels a little lighter. For a moment, you forget the bruises and the blisters and the thirst. You just walk and breathe and watch the light fade. Your wife meets you at the door of your house. Her name is not preserved in any record that has survived to our time, but we know what countless women like her did. We know how they lived and worked and loved and suffered. She has spent the day weaving linen on a horizontal loom set up in the courtyard. The loom is made of wooden pegs driven into the ground, with threads stretched between them. She works the shuttle back and forth, creating cloth that is soft and cool against the skin. She has also managed the children, kept them fed and out of trouble, chased the chickens back into their coop, and carried water from the river in a clay jar balanced on her head. She has been mixing dough for tomorrow's bread, kneading it with her strong hands, leaving it covered with a damp cloth to ferment overnight. The Egyptians do not yet use commercial yeast. Wild yeast, floating invisible in the air, does the work for them. She has been ill on and off for weeks. The sickness comes and goes like a tide. Some days she feels almost well. Other days she is too tired to lift her arms. The illness is likely a parasitic infection from the river water. Modern doctors call it schistosomiasis. About 40% of Egyptian skeletons from this period show evidence of it. The parasite enters through the skin when you stand in the water, swimming free until it finds a blood vessel. It lays eggs in your bladder, your liver, your intestines, causing inflammation and fatigue and pain. It does not kill quickly. It just slowly drains your strength, year after year, until you have nothing left. She does not know the name of her sickness. She only knows she is tired. She knows her stomach hurts after meals. She knows she has given birth to 3 children in 8 years, and only 2 of them survived past their first birthday. Her body has never really recovered between pregnancies. She does not complain. Complaining is not her way. You eat together, sitting on the floor of your single room. The children settle around you, their faces soft in the lamplight. The lamp is a shallow clay dish filled with linseed oil, a floating wick made of twisted linen. It gives off a small, steady flame and a faint, pleasant smell. You eat bread, dipping it in a thick beer. You eat lentil stew flavored with garlic and cumin. The spice is precious but used sparingly. There is 1 small piece of dried fish, hard and salty, split into 5 portions so that everyone gets a taste. The children eat first, their small hands reaching eagerly. Then you eat. Then your wife eats, taking the smallest portion for herself. This is the order of things. She always has the least. She always will. After the meal, you sit together in the gathering darkness. No one speaks much. There is nothing that needs saying. The children grow drowsy, their heads nodding. One by one, they curl up on their mats and fall asleep. The dogs settle at the foot of your mat, noses tucked under tails. You sit with your wife for a little while longer, her hand resting lightly on your arm. You do not talk about the future. The future is too uncertain. You do not talk about the past. The past is too heavy. You just sit and breathe and listen to the night sounds outside, the distant splash of fish, the call of the night jar, the soft murmur of the river. Then you climb to the roof. Every Egyptian house has a flat roof, and during the flood season, the roof is the coolest place to sleep. You spread a fresh reed mat and lie down, your wife beside you, the dogs curling at your feet. Above you, the sky is so full of stars that they cast faint, silvery shadows on the ground. You can see the great band of light the Egyptians call the Per-Het, the heavenly Nile. We call it the Milky Way. They believe it is a river in the sky, where the sun god Ra sails a solar boat every night, fighting his way through the underworld so that he can be reborn at dawn. Let me tell you about that journey, dear friend, because it is beautiful and strange and it will help you sleep. The Egyptians believe that each evening when the sun sets, Ra dies. He climbs into a solar bark, a great boat made of reeds and gold, and begins to sail through the 12 hours of the night. The underworld is a dark and dangerous place, full of monsters and serpents and gates that must be opened with secret words. The worst of these monsters is a serpent of chaos so enormous that his coils can wrap around the world. Akhet hates Ra and tries to swallow him, to stop the sun from ever rising again. But Ra is not alone. Other gods sail with him, armed with knives and spells and the power of magic words. Each hour, Ra defeats Akhet. Each hour, he moves closer to the dawn. At the 12th hour, just before sunrise, Ra is reborn from the body of the goddess Nut. Nut is the sky herself, arched over the earth like a ceiling. She swallows the sun at sunset and gives birth to it again at sunrise. This happens every single night, without exception. The world depends on it. If the priests ever fail in their nightly rituals, if the offerings are not correct, Ra might lose. Akhet might win. The sun might not rise. The world might end. This is not a story to the Egyptian mind. This is literal truth. The reason you wake each morning to light is that gods and priests and ordinary taxpayers like you keep the cosmos turning. But you do not think about any of that right now. You are too tired. Your shoulders ache with a deep, bone-tired ache. Your hands throb. Your wife's breathing beside you is shallow and soft, sometimes catching in a small cough before settling again. The dog at your feet sighs in its sleep, twitching as it chases dream rabbits through dream fields. The stars will overhead, slow and patient. The same stars that your ancestors watched 1,000 years ago. The same stars that your children will watch long after you are gone. Tomorrow, you will do this all again. You will wake before dawn. You will walk to the brickyard. You will haul bricks up the hillside. You will eat gritty bread and drink thick beer and chew raw onions. You will come home tired and sore. You will eat a small meal. You will climb to the roof. You will look up at the stars. And then you will sleep. 28 more days of bricks. Then the flood will recede, and you will return to your fields. And you will plant emmer wheat and barley in the rich black soil that the river has left behind. The cycle will begin again. It has always been this way. It will always be this way. Your eyes are growing heavy now. The warm night air wraps around you like a blanket. Somewhere across the river, a hippo grunts, a deep, rumbling sound that fades into the distance. A dog barks once, then falls silent. The river whispers against the bank, a soft shushing sound that could almost be a lullaby. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts drift, scattering like leaves on still water. You are safe here, on this roof under these ancient stars. You are part of something vast and old and endlessly turning. The sun will rise tomorrow. It always does. But for now, there is only darkness and warmth and the slow, gentle post-sleep. Let yourself drift, dear friend. Let the weight of the day dissolve. Let the story carry you like a boat on the Nile, floating without effort, without fear. You are the farmer. You are the builder. You are the dreamer under the stars. And soon, you'll be nothing but breath, rising and falling as the night holds you close. That was day 1 of 7 in ancient Egypt. The farmer. 8 million bricks. Bread with sand inside it. Onions sharp and sweet. The river that brings life and the sickness that hides in the river. A wife with a slow illness. 3 children, 2 of whom lived to see another spring. The cycle of planting and flooding and harvesting. Turning like the stars overhead. Tomorrow night, you will not be a farmer. Tomorrow, you will wake on the other side of the river, in a different village, with a different kind of work. You will step into a life that almost no ordinary person in the ancient world could ever hope to know. You will be a tomb builder in the Valley of the Kings. You will live in a place of artists and sculptors, of men who carve eternity out of limestone, and you will be able to read. But that is for another night, another dream. For now, let your eyes close. Let your breath slow. Let the last images fade. The golden river at sunset, the laughter of boys in papyrus skiff, the soft hand of your wife on your arm, the infinite river stars above. You are drifting. You are floating. You are almost home. Thank you for listening to Ancient Tales for Sleep, now a part of your bedtime journey. If you enjoyed this first day, if the story helped you find a moment of peace in your busy life, please consider subscribing so you do not miss the remaining days. Drop a comment below if you like, telling us what surprised you most about the Egyptian priesthood, or simply telling us that you are here, that you are listening, that you are finding your way toward rest. As always, dear friends, we will see you in the past, in the quiet hours before dawn, in the small rooms where the world is held together by careful hands. Until then, let your breathing be slow, let your body be heavy, let your mind be still. We're already working on the next part, and we'll upload it soon. Good night and sweet dreams.